All right, guys, so college football 27 is almost here. And my question for you is, have they done enough? Dynasty mode is in large part different, I guess, in the menus and how you would kind of interact with your program, with budget, stuff like that. Gameplay wise, have they done enough for you? Stuff like that. That's kind of my question for this video today. I know gameplay wise, they've made some changes on defense for sure in terms of how you audible with the macro scheme. You can go to the menus, you can kind of put audibles as you would on a given down, but you can preset them. And then I guess in 2 clicks, you can kind of preset your defense to look how you want it to look. And then I think same thing on offense. They've added some like micro movements to gameplay as well, like some wide receiver, cornerback jostling, stuff like that. They've changed kind of how the hit stick works, a few things like that. But it's always interesting in a yearly cycle for a game, all that's actually changed. Now, this year, as a primary dynasty player, I think the changes that they made for dynasty are actually wonderful, right? I think adding the budget, adding those few more things in terms of the menu grind are going to make this game much more replayable in the coming months. And it'll probably make my first dynasty last a lot longer because they made it harder at small schools. And just overall, it adds a different variety to different teams that we haven't seen in the past. Before, I feel like, of course, it mattered what school you use because of team grades, stuff like that. But now, more than ever, I feel like the team you choose matters almost more so than your coach build. Now, I'm not saying that your coach build doesn't matter, because it definitely does, like motivator, recruiter, tactician, what path are you going to go, talent elevator, all those sorts of things. But from every single video that I've seen so far, NIL runs this game. Not recruiting hours, not even motivator in terms of getting that off-season boost, because we've seen the boost be less and be more determined based on your, facility boost or support staff boost, stuff like that. So I feel like a lot of this game is geared towards NIL, and I don't hate that, right? I mean, I saw a comment on a video. It was like, that's kind of how real life is too. Like, you're going to get those few recruits in a cycle that don't really care about NIL, that are big time prospects. They want to go to a certain school that's close to home, whatever. But in large part, a lot of the big recruits in the nation, their sole focus, the biggest thing that they care about is NIL. And so I kind of like that change in Dynasty. As far as the whole game goes, cut guys, road to glory guys, how are you guys feeling? Like I said, for me, literally all I play is Dynasty. I may get into Road to Glory like towards the end of the game cycle. And usually Road to Glory is good enough for me, right? With that being my secondary mode, anything they add to that mode is fantastic. It's great, it's wonderful. But for me, being a primarily Dynasty guy, I think they've done enough this year. I mentioned in a video before on this channel how, if you are a type of person that buys sports games every other year, jumping from 25 to 27 has to feel massive, right? The jump from 25 to 26 was very incremental, very, quality of life changes. But imagine if you jumped from 25 to 27, that change is so drastic. And that's why I kind of push kind of every other year sports game buying, if you are able to, kind of submit yourself to that discipline, stuff like that. So what are your thoughts overall on college football 27? I think they did enough. I think in terms of dynasty mode, they've added enough changes to where this game's going to feel a lot different this year. Obviously adding NIL and budget is just completely different from top to bottom than previous years. It's a whole other layer on top of school grades, coach build, stuff like that. So I think for Dynasty, they've done enough. But for those guys out there that play cut, Road to Glory, how are you guys feeling? Let me know in the comments down below. And guys, we're almost there. CFB 27 is almost out. We can do this. Come back to Coach Miller for more content. And our first rebuild starts soon. See you there. Peace.